right, John. Two big picture questions as we head into Game 3 of the Lakers-Wolves series. The two big questions are regarding Game 1, what the heck happened? And regarding Game 2, what the heck happened? We'll get into all of that here. He's Jon Krawczynski. This is the Jon Krawczynski Show. This is our basketball show at talknorth.com. Thanks so much for listening. We do appreciate it. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. They say knowledge is power, and power is having a great plumber and electrician on speed dial. Enter Aquarius Home Services. Whether your toilet's bubbling like a science experiment or your lights are blinking like a strobe light, we have you covered. Plus, get $98 off any electrical or plumbing repair. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com and let the experts handle the chaos. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, Rosie here for Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than my good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they have got you covered with two great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to LexusofWayzata.com or LexusofMaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
We're presented to you by Giggly. THC Beverages, GIGLI.com. Giggly North is the promo code to get you 50% off your first order. I just used that code and got my delivery very quickly. Great stuff. We also want to welcome a brand new sponsor to this show and to the network. Lexus, will be telling you more about Lexus in a little bit here, and we appreciate them jumping on board with this very popular show. So, John, what happened and then what happened?
Yeah, Jim, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this, but what it felt like to me was the Wolves played about as well as they could possibly play in Game 1, shooting the lights out, playing good defense, moving the basketball, moving their bodies. And I think as human nature is wont to do, what happened in Game 2 was the desperate team had the response. And the Wolves, for all of their discussion going into the game about staying focused, about staying disciplined and being ready for the Lakers punch, I don't think that they really were. Kenny Smith on TNT, I think, put it very, very well after Game 2. The Lakers didn't play all that much better than they did in Game 1. It's just the Wolves played so much worse. Now, the Lakers were much more active defensively. I think they were much more intense and physical. There were some referee issues and things like that. But ultimately what happened was the Wolves were not able to match the Lakers' desperation in that game. And it was an incredibly winnable game. They could easily be coming home 2-0 had they stuck to so many of the things that worked well for them in Game 1 beyond Jaden McDaniels just shooting the lights out and Naz Reid shooting the lights out. So disappointing that they're coming back 1-1 and not 2-0, but also kind of the feeling that, they're sort of in control of this thing if they're going to kind of put that effort forward.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I thought Game 1 was one of their best offensive performances in terms of versatility and different ways they could beat you. And they weren't reliant on Anthony Edwards, and McDaniels played great and the bench played great. And then Game 2, that is as bad an offensive performance as we've seen them have under Chris Finch. And they got almost nothing from the bench. Nas had a terrible game. Mike Conley had a terrible game. Anthony Edwards ended up scoring, a reasonable amount of points. But, if you watch the game, he didn't have a good game. So take me into the way the Lakers defended the Wolves, because they obviously played much more physically and much harder, but they also really disrupted the beginning, the entry points of the Wolves offense up top. They had LeBron almost playing like a free safety up there.
Yeah, I think that the very noticeable thing being in the arena for Game 2 was how active both LeBron and Luka Doncic's feet were in the defense. In terms of what we saw in Game 1 was a laziness to the Lakers defense that was startling, in terms of it was so much easier for the Timberwolves' point of attack, whether it was Conley, whether it was Anthony Edwards, even Jade McDaniels, at times Nickeil Alexander-Walker, to kind of maneuver around the perimeter and get going downhill, kicking out for wide open threes. And those Laker defenders then, once they got into rotations, were not moving their feet well enough to catch up and close out on 3-point shooters. And so you just saw Wolves players getting wide open shot after wide open shot and knocking them all down, to their credit. Now, in game 2, right from the get-go, LeBron was pressing up on Julius Randle, on Anthony Edwards when he got on switches, on, kind of anyone that he was in front of. And Luka, who is not known as a good defensive player, to his credit, was using his body to try and bump the Wolves off of their driving lanes to make sure that whenever they wanted to make movements to get kind of the offense flowing, that it was harder for them to get to their spots, because Luka's a big dude. And if he does move his feet, he can get in the way and he can make things tough for you to get around and kind of maneuver. So the Lakers really just shrunk the floor in a considerable way. Were they getting away with a little bit of clutching and grabbing and things like that? Maybe, yes, I do think so. But in general, they just played a whole lot harder on that end of the floor. And I'll be honest, Jim, I was skeptical when I heard JJ Redick, when I heard Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, a lot of these guys talk after game 1 about just the importance of playing harder. And I kind of generally chalk that up to, that's what you go to when you have no other plan. Mm-hmm. But this one, in this case, I don't think they changed their schematic approach to the game much from what they wanted to do in game 1. They did, though, ramp up the intensity. They did ramp up the physicality. And I think it did catch the Wolves off guard. I think they came in after that thumping in game 1 and kind of expected it to be easy again. And it wasn't. And they just really ground the offense down. And so once the Lakers turned it into that type of game, and then it's Julius Randle isos, and then it's, kind of Ant probing, and everyone standing around and watching. That's really bad basketball for the Timberwolves. And when the Timberwolves play bad basketball or ugly basketball, they have a hard time winning those games. So that's what it was to me, is just that it was LeBron and Luka really kind of forcing the issue in a way that they did not do in game 1. And by the end of it, Jim, they were gassed. They were completely out of gas, but they had just enough of a lead from that first quarter to be able to hang on to it.
So much more to get to here. We're talking on Thursday morning. Wolves, of course, playing at home on Friday night and Sunday night. We're going to stay big picture, so the topics we talk about have relevance throughout the weekend. But I want to offer a special welcome to Lexus Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood.
Yeah, Jim, but super excited to bring Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood into the Jon Krawczynski Show. Our good friend Charlie Swanson, he sits courtside at games quite a bit, and he has been a Wolves fan forever and ever. See him there all the time. And if you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than our good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they've got you covered with 2 great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to lexusofwayzata.com or lexusofmaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
Reminder, we're coming from the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and we also want to let you know that we're being presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages. Blueberry lemonade is my favorite. I also like the pineapple mojito. Depending on my mood, blood orange margarita, the lime seltzers. My wife likes the teas, raspberry tea, the lemon tea. Stuff is low price, especially when you compare it to North Loop restaurant cocktails. It is low ingredient, low calorie, natural. It'll make you feel good in the moment, and you'll feel good the next morning, which I love. I love being able to have something that tastes like a cocktail that isn't going to slow me down the following morning. It's the perfect work night treat. It even helps me sleep. So check it out. Great thing. This is a Minnesota business. You can get Giggly all the quick trips across Minnesota. You're going to find it in your local liquor store. You're going to find it everywhere you go, because I see it everywhere now. They're also sponsoring our Sports Roundtable with Mark Rosen. It was such a big success when we started out. So thanks to Giggly. Try it out. It's great stuff. Again, Minnesota company. And the great thing is you're not going to regret it. You're going to feel good the next morning. Giggly.com, Giggly North is the promo code for 50% off your first order. So Luka in game one, let's go to the Wolves defensively. And listen, you hold the Lakers to 94 on the road, you should win. They didn't play great defensively, but it wasn't really the problem. But game one, Luka got his points. He got off fast, but he never was the Luka that we saw so much last year in the Western Conference Finals, where he got wherever he wanted to go and then had his pick. Oh, do I want to shoot the floater? Do I want to lean in? Do I want to draw the foul? Do I want to throw an alley-oop? Do I want to kick out the three? I mean, it felt like he was playing iso ball in game one. Felt like in game two, he could do whatever he wanted. What happened and how the Wolves addressed that?
Yeah, I think that, there was so much talk after game one about what the Wolves did defensively against Luka. And you're right, he had 37 points in game one, but 1 assist. Mm-hmm. And it was very much similar, Jim, to the approach that the Wolves take with Nikola Jokic. It's, hey, you're going to score your points, and there's really no way for us to stop a player of his caliber from putting the ball in the basket. But what the Wolves can do against the Nuggets is spread out and limit Jamal Murray, limit Michael Porter Jr., limit the role players from getting going. And if they can turn it into a Jokic versus the Wolves, they feel really good about that, and it usually works. They turned the game one into Doncic versus the Wolves, and Luka got 37, got his shots off, had a big first quarter, but could not get anyone else involved. And what we saw in game two was the expected adjustment. He did not have 37, he had 31, but he had 9 assists to go with it. And then, you kind of look around at the rest of the Lakers attack. You have LeBron James had 21, Reeves had 16. And so it looked just a little bit better because he was spreading the ball around and the Lakers looked a little more dangerous. I will say, though, to your point to start the question, Jim, I thought the Wolves were terrific defensively again in game two as well. I mean, the Lakers shot 21% from three. Again, will they shoot that poorly against the Wolves the rest of the series? Probably not, but a lot of those shots were really well contested. And so I think there's a chance of sustaining something closer to that. They had, after the first quarter, when they had 34 points, they had 60 the rest of the way. It was incredible. The Lakers could not get anything going offensively, really. Luka was 9 for 20. The problem was, the biggest issue, I think, that the Wolves faced the rest of the way after the first quarter was that Luka would get to the free throw line. He was 11 for 11 on attempts. And yes, Wolves fans, some of those were, a little bit questionable calls. I do believe that Anthony Edwards does not get near the same whistle that Luka does going to the basket. It's incredible, some of the things that happen to Ant going to the basket and that do not get called versus Luka. But in general as well, Luka does a really good job of creating contact, getting to the basket, getting to his spots, and drawing fouls. A lot of the times that Luka was going to the line, he was legitimately fouled, including a couple of times by Naz Reid that put him in foul trouble, really kind of messed up the flow of the Wolves rotation. So what the Wolves, I think, will want to do in game 3 on Friday night defensively is they have fallen behind both in these first 2 games by a good margin. The Lakers were up by 7 after the first quarter in game 1. They were up by 19 in game 2. And a lot of that is offensive struggles, but part of it also is defense. Like Luka has got 32 points in the first 2 games in the first quarter. And if they can kind of slow that down a little bit more and give this offense some time to get into the game and get moving, I think they're going to be in much better shape going in for game 3.
How good is LeBron James right now?
Look, he's incredible in spurts. There was the one play in game 2 where the Wolves get a stop. They're coming up the court. I think they're down 9 and a chance to get it to 6 or 7. They're in transition, going the other way, and LeBron kind of shoots out of a cannon, gets a steal from Anthony Edwards, and goes the other way, and they score, and it's back to 11. This is kind of, midway through the fourth quarter, and that really was a backbreaker for them. He was really good, I think, overall defensively in game 2. He had 11 rebounds, so he was using his size and his physicality to help out a lot defensively. So far, what we have seen in the first 2 games, though, Jim, is he has not been the LeBron kind of overwhelming, powerful offensive force. And there's been a bunch of discussion in Los Angeles about, a groin injury that he suffered late in the season. He does not look quite as explosive as he has even most of this season when he's as he's a 40-year-old. I mean, obviously he's not what he was 10 years ago athletically, but for a lot of this season, we have seen LeBron James make incredible athletic plays, and just not look his age. He has looked his age a little bit more offensively in the first 2 games of this series. There was a sequence in game 1 where he was blocked back-to-back plays by Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert. And I don't know, Jim, if LeBron has been had his shot blocked on consecutive plays ever in his life before. I'm sure it's happened, but it just was really kind of startling to me how there was a clear lack of lift and a lack of separation first step that it is just characteristic of LeBron's game that he usually has, and he has not had so far. Their Lakers are getting another 2 days off before game 3. We'll see if that helps kind of get any more juice back in his legs and get him going. But he was really, really good in game 2, but it was not in the way we're used to seeing LeBron James, dominate games. And so he's, I think, trying to be resourceful, trying to work through whatever ailments that he has and still be effective. And he was excellent in game 2, but I think that the Wolves feel like if they stay on top of him, it's not going to be the same kind of LeBron that historically we see in the playoffs. We'll see in game 3, though.
Next topic. Should Rudy Gobert be guarding Luka Doncic? Can Rudy Gobert guard Luka Doncic? First, though, tell us about Princeton's Liquors.
Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove. Bill Princeton and the Princeton family have been in the liquor selling business for decades and decades. Bill was a member of the Timberwolves and Lynx family back in the day when he was an intern and wore the Crunch costume around the turn of the century. So we like to support the people who support this community, and that's what Princeton's Liquors does. If you are looking for any kind of beer, wine, spirits, you can go seltzers, you can go in to Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove. They will take care of you. If you're having a little gathering on Friday night for game 3 of these playoffs, if you are just looking after game 2 to have something to just take the edge off when you're really frustrated about how things went in that game, go to Princeton's Liquors. They have an excellent selection of bourbon, an excellent selection of craft beer, but they have anything that you could need from an alcoholic drink and selling whatever you want to get a little refreshment going into this weekend and seeing these 2 home games that the Wolves have coming up. So Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove is the place to go. Tell them the Jon Krawczynski Show sent you.
You and I got to catch up with Steve Terry from TSR Injury Law at a couple of the games at the end of the regular season. Great to see him. I got to meet his wife. You know, he doesn't go to all the games, so he's generous with his tickets, but when he's there, it's great to have him around. Hey, you see Steve on the billboards. You see him on the commercials with Naz Reid. He's not, I mean, I don't know why he's still dealing with us, John. He's just such a big deal. I mean, you know.
It's amazing. He's everywhere.
Yeah, he's everywhere. And you know what? Here's the thing. We love Steve. He's a great guy. And what he does is he helps people. His company helps people who need this particular kind of help. So if you ever need this particular kind of help, if you're ever injured and you need a lawyer, you just call 612-TSR-TIME, 612-TSR-TIME. Steve might answer, Naz Reid might answer, but generally somebody who can help you will answer, and they will help you. And they don't charge you unless they win your case. And they win so many cases that they've built themselves into this juggernaut that you see everywhere. So I'm happy for Steve. I'm happy for TSR Injury Law. Hope you don't need their help, but if you do, you're going to want really good help. 612-TSR-TIME. Thanks also to Royal Credit Union.
Boost your savings when you open a money market account at Royal Credit Union. For a limited time, you can get a $1,250 bonus when you bring $100,000 or more in new money to open a personal or business money market account. Royal's money market accounts have no monthly maintenance fee and tiered rates, so higher balances earn more. See details and open a money market account today at rcu.org/earn-more. Minimum deposit of $100,000 required to obtain bonus. Offer ends 5/24/25. Insured by NCUA.
All right, so take me into the defensive philosophy behind Rudy Gobert ending up on Luka Doncic.
Yeah, you know, it's been a huge talker, of course. Rudy Gobert is a polarizing player in this league that people just love to criticize, love to make fun of, whatever it is. And one strategy that was abundantly clear the Lakers were out after in game 2, but it did in game 1 as well, is Luka Doncic hunts Rudy Gobert on switches. And what he likes to do is run through the screens until he gets Rudy, draw him back out to the perimeter. And then everyone in Crypto.com arena kind of like gears up and waits for some embarrassing step back jumper, kind of quick move to get by Rudy, something to put Rudy on a highlight reel and laugh at him. And I'm telling you, Jim, through the first 2 games, especially in game 2, it was a strategy that did not work. Luka had one really good move, made an incredible shot that got Rudy. Everyone went crazy on Twitter, on social media, and looked at the highlight and said, "Oh my God, look at what he did to Rudy." Da 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 da. But the rest of the game, Rudy held up beautifully against Luka Doncic in those one-on-one matchups. He moved his feet. He used his length, his long arms to bother Luka and to just turn a really tough shot into an incredibly tough shot. And I think it was the final numbers where Luka was 1 for 4 against him in isolation. And one thing that you could tell as the game went on, Jim, was that it almost seemed like Luka, his main priority was, I'm going to do something to embarrass Rudy here. Like, that's my main goal in this game. And it really was counterproductive to the Lakers in the second half, I believe, because A, it took a lot of energy out of Luka. He was really gassed by the end of the game. And B, it resulted in a lot of standing around and watching Luka go to work against Rudy. And the Lakers were not doing a ton of back cutting. They weren't moving around and getting wide open threes. It was all ending with really contested Luka jump shots that were, for the most part, missing. Now, this is kind of the conundrum, Jim, for Rudy Gobert, is I liken it very much to a great offensive tackle who all game long, they are going against an unbelievable pass rusher, right? And you get the stop on 30 dropbacks, you have 28 of them. You're doing your job, you're blocking him, you're protecting the quarterback. There's not much going on. On snap 29, Jared Allen puts a move on you, gets past you, it knocks the quarterback down, sacks him, and there's the highlight. And that's going to be the thing on social media. And meanwhile, the left tackle's like, gosh dang, I stopped this guy literally all game long. He got me one time, and now everyone's acting like it's the worst thing in the world. And that's kind of what Rudy is with his defensive approach. Like, he has to bear down and hope and believe that in the aggregate, over the course of an entire game, over the course of an entire series, when you get all of these possessions lining up, and if you're stopping him 3 out of 4 times, you're generally feeling really good about that. But the one time you don't stop him, there's going to be everyone in the world is going to be looking at it. It's going to be a highlight on SportsCenter. It's going to be, oh my gosh, can you see what happened here? But in general, again, maybe it changes going forward. But in these first 2 games, I think that it has played into the Wolves' hands defensively that Luka just seems so hell-bent on putting Rudy Gobert on Twitter in a crazy highlight. The Lakers have scored 94 points and 95 points. If that's going to be the output for them all series long, they're going to lose. I don't see them winning a series where they don't score over 100. So, we get all transfixed by the ankle breaking or the crazy shooting and stuff like that. And it's remarkable when Luka does it, but it is working out in the Wolves' favor so far in that matchup one-on-one.
You said something that it rolled off the tongue so beautifully. It's so lyrical. I just want to repeat it myself. Crypto.com arena.
Doesn't it just like, it's majestic?
It is. It's almost as good as Fabulous Forum.
Yeah, you're right. And it is funny though, Jim, when you're out there, very few Lakers fans call it crypto.com. They all say, oh man, I long for the days of Staples Center. And I mean, it's still just a big corporation, just a different one selling a different thing. So it's like, that's not exactly romantic either. Like you said, Fabulous Forum. Now that's something different. That's lyrical.
That's where you want to party. That's where you want to,
everyone's like, no, this isn't crypto. This is Staples. Those were the days.
Oh,
I'm
man,
like, okay,
Staples.
all right. That sounds great.
Yeah. We should, if the Lakers lose, I think we should start calling it the Crypt.
Yes, I think it was called that when they were in the doldrums a little bit. Now that Luka's back, it's a little different thing. But yeah, I think that if the Wolves close out in 5 or 7 there, maybe there's a renaming ceremony that we'll have after that.
I feel like we still have a lot to get to here, including the matchups, the coaching matchups, what you expect the atmosphere to be like at Target Center. But first, let's hear more about True Vision Institute. True Vision Institute in Bloomington is the place to go for vision correction. I went there last July. We're coming up on a year of me having LASIK surgery from True Vision, and it's been such a great year. My life is so much easier. I've been traveling a lot lately now with the Wolves, and it's just life is better without glasses and contacts on the road. Being able to see the shampoo bottles in the shower, just going to bed and waking up and not having to fumble for my glasses, not having to put the contacts in so I can see and move around. The good folks at True Vision will take care of you. Go to truevision.com, set up your consultation, go in. They will take care of everything you need. They will answer every question. They will not pressure you into LASIK surgery. They will look at all of your vision correction options. And once you get into their care, you're never going to feel more cared for. You're never going to feel more supported than when you're walking into True Vision. So go to truevision.com, tell them the Jon Krawczynski Show sent you, and get moving with it, guys. I cannot believe I waited as long as I did to have LASIK surgery, because it really does change your life in a meaningful way. True Vision, truevision.com. Let's hear what's going on at Headflyer Brewing. Headflyer Brewing right now, Jim, they're doing some great Wolves watch parties for every game. And as you guys know, the West Coast games are on late, and they stay open late for the games. They've been great crowds so far at the first 2 games, and they expect great crowds this weekend. So if you go there to Headflyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis on Friday night, they are going to have a giveaway of Game 4 tickets, Game 4 playoff tickets
for Sunday. So you don't have tickets for Friday, you don't have tickets for Sunday, go into Head Flyer, have some great crunch time beer while you're there, watch the game with Wolves fans on their many TVs, in their wide open tap room, and then register for a chance to win tickets. You may end up going to Game 4 on Sunday afternoon. So they have wonderful beer. It's super inviting and easy place to park, place to sit and hang out. You can bring your dog, bring your family. They have a pizza truck right out front for food. And so there's no better place to be than Target Center for watching a Wolves game this weekend than Head Flyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis.
We will have a Twitter question at the end of the show, sponsored by Shepherd Goods and Lamb Chops Clothing. What's up with SGL?
SGLambchops.com is the place to go. If you go there, you put in the promo code JONK20 for 20% off anything you can get at Lamb Chops. Their hoodies, sweatshirts, sweaters, pants, shorts, t-shirts, hats, everything that you could want, casual wear that looks good and feels great. I have a sweater that I recently got from Lamb Chops that is so soft and so comfortable, and it looks great. I can wear it around the house and stay warm that way, chilling on a cool evening here in Minnesota, or I can bring it out, wear it in the North Loop, feel like I fit right in terms of style, in terms of comfort, in terms of super high quality. So if you go to sglambchops.com, use the promo code JONK20, you will get 20% off anything you get. You will see Jordan and Craig courtside at the Wolves games this weekend. They will be giving Luka Doncic all kinds of heckling him and trying to get in the heads of the Lakers. And so they're supporting your team. So support their team when you go to sglambchops.com.
I don't think there's any point in trying to do picks. We did our picks at the beginning of the series. We both picked the Wolves in 7. I will stick with that. But has what happened in the first 2 games altered your perception of the series at all, or your expectations, or your thoughts on what it might be like to be in Target Center Friday and Sunday?
Yeah, it still feels, Jim, like a long series. I will say, though, that even after the loss in Game 2, this still feels like the Wolves series. I think that they played incredibly poorly offensively in Game 2. Now, the Lakers do deserve some credit for that with how hard they played, the intensity that they showed, and the intelligence. And I do think that eventually the Lakers are going to shoot better than they have these first 2 games. But overall, this is a series that the Wolves are the better team from top to bottom, not from top to top. Luka Doncic is the best player in the series, and he has been so far. But I think that the depth of the Wolves just is really apparent here. Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo getting into foul trouble early in Game 2 really did mess with things for the Wolves, and I think it really prevented their offense from getting moving, because those are 2 such big drivers of their offensive kind of movement, ball and body, shooting, all of those things. But I think that the Wolves have more ways to beat the Lakers so far, what we've seen, than the Lakers have ways to beat the Wolves. And so if this becomes a long series, if it goes back and forth, I do think that favors the Timberwolves, because I will tell you, like, the Lakers put everything they possibly had into Game 2. It was a really impressive performance. And by the end of it, they were holding on for dear life. It felt very much like Denver Game 7 in terms of the Lakers couldn't do anything offensively. It just so happened that the Wolves were not playing well enough defensively to walk the Lakers all the way down. But I like the Wolves in this series. I think that they have enough to win as long as they keep their composure against LeBron and against Luka. They should be in good shape here. The question will be, Jim, going into these home games, they have not been great at home. They weren't great at home in the playoffs last year. They weren't great at home this season. Some of their biggest, most disappointing losses were at home. And so they're going to have to summon the energy to play at home, because Friday night, Target Center 1-1, that the roof is going to be blowing off the place early on. It's going to be electric in there. I didn't think that the crowd was great in LA. They were pretty loud in game 2, but game 1, they were not great at all. And game 3, I think that it is going to be a madhouse in there, and the Wolves need to reward the energy that the fans are going to give them. They can't fall behind early again like they have been in these games, and they've got to get out there, start fast, get on top of the Lakers early, and hope to ride the wave of this crowd, because they're going to come in. It's a late tip-off. They're going to be well lubricated, as Chris Finch likes to say, and it's going to be an absolutely unbelievable environment. I cannot wait to be in there. And now it's going to be up to the Wolves to play to that level. And if they do, I feel really good about their chances of winning both of these games.
Why hasn't this been a bigger home court advantage for the Wolves? As you said, it wasn't in the playoffs last year, wasn't in the regular season this year. What's going on?
I really don't know, Jim. I mean, there is a theory that a lot of the Wolves have young children at home, have young families. And so when they come home, there are just more distractions, that there's just more going on at home, and it's harder for them to lock in and be completely focused than it is on the road when they just are out there on their own. And you can go to the hotel and you can just like have some quiet, and you can really focus on the task at hand. I'm not saying I'm blaming
you hate children is what
kids.
You're saying.
Yes,
you just don't like children.
Yeah. But it has been something that has been floated, and I don't know if that's the case. But I think routines are just different at home, and they have not been able to find that edge that they play with on the road. But I think one other factor is I do think that Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, a lot of these guys like going into the hostile environment, like being booed by the opposing crowd, like getting into it with fans. And I think that kind of gives them a different competitive fire and edge. And so they really get after it a little bit more when the crowd is against them. This is a team that has played better when their backs are against the wall, when they're on a little losing streak, when they have to win in the playoffs. That's when they play their best. And so mentally, it does seem like I think they are able to manufacture that feeling more on the road than they are at home. And that's not a recipe for long-term playoff success, is, having to win on the road a lot. And so they've got to figure out what's going on the home court and change that, because these fans deserve it, Jim. They've been so good. It's been such a loud environment. It's been really supportive, and they need to be rewarded with better efforts on the home court.
Yeah, it's a great fan base, and you give them anything to pay attention to, and they'll show up and go crazy. Let's wrap up this show with our Shepherd Goods and Lamb Chops clothing line. But first, John, tell us about a special Wolves fan.
Yeah, two things to end up the show here. First of all, wanted to extend congratulations to our friend Jake Vernon, who was a longtime executive with the Timberwolves. He has been very helpful to this show. A lot of times, if you went to a live show and you got free tickets from us, Jake Vernon was the one that supplied those. He's very supportive of this show, and just a really good guy and really well liked in the organization. He is leaving to take a high level position with the Buffalo Sabres. And so I wanted to just say, hey, thanks for everything, Jake, and congratulations on that. And thanks for all the help that you've been to this show over the years. But then, primarily and importantly, one of the Timberwolves super fans, over the years, you've probably seen her on Twitter. Her name's Maggie Schultz. And she goes to games. She used to have a Wolves podcast I appeared on a couple of times with her and Patrick, her friend Patrick Fenelon. But Maggie recently discovered that she needs brain surgery. She was hospitalized kind of out of the blue with some seizures and some other complications. And so she's having brain surgery, and there's a GoFundMe out there if Wolves fans want to get on and search Maggie Schultz, SCHULTZ, for her brain surgery recovery. There's been a ton of money raised already, but you can always use more for her. But in general, just wanted to send our well wishes to Maggie. We're thinking about you. We're hoping that everything goes well with your brain surgery, and that maybe you can watch some Wolves win some games while you're recovering in the playoffs. But just shout out to Maggie. She's been a longtime listener, a longtime supporter of us, and just a wonderful person and super funny, great person to be around. And so we're just thinking about her and the situation that she's in, and hoping that everything goes well with her in her surgery and her recovery.
Yes, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, let's get to our Shepherd Goods and Lamb Chops Clothing Line Twitter question of the week.
Yep, let me bring it up right here. It is from Leon Savage at Leon Fowl on Twitter. We saw Terrence Shannon Jr. get some quality minutes last game. Do you think we're going to see him getting more quality minutes down the stretch, or do you think he's going to be held as a foul trouble backup? And it's a great point from Leon, because I do think in many ways game 2 turned back toward the Timberwolves when Terrence Shannon came in the second quarter after Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo both got in foul trouble. And he didn't do a ton offensively. It wasn't like, he was hitting a bunch of threes or getting out and throwing down dunks in transition a lot. But you could see that his size helped defensively, and that his activity kind of helped get things moving a little bit more offensively. And it seemed like when he got into the game, the Wolves were able to wrestle back some of the control and some of the momentum. I do wish Chris Finch would have went back to him in the second half, even though the group that he had and was going with was playing very well and was carving into that lead. Unfortunately, Leon, I think the answer to your question is he's probably not going to get a whole lot of meaningful run unless there is foul trouble, unless there is an injury that happens. Chris Finch does seem to be pretty dialed into the top 8. It worked great in game 1. It was working really well defensively in game 2. And they just need something offensively. But I would like to see Terrence Shannon Jr., Jalen Clark, someone like that sprinkled in a little bit more, because I think that youthful enthusiasm, energy, that toughness and tenacity that both of them bring does give them a little bit of a something. And so Finch should be open to it. And again, we talked at the start of this series about the need to be flexible. And I think that that option should be more than in case of emergency break glass. That's one thing that I would like Chris Finch to do more of. And we will see if he does more of it going forward, but I'm not holding my breath.
Nor should you. But it was fun to see Terrence Shannon Jr. go in there and just play the same way in Crypto Arena that he played, in the middle of the season against, San Antonio.
Super impressive. Didn't back down, didn't look scared, didn't look nervous in the moment. His first playoff game, LeBron James, all of those things. Like, it would have been easy to say, man, this kid has not played in a long time. He hasn't been a part of the rotation, and maybe it's a little too much for him. It was not. He stepped right in there and he looked comfortable. And that's a very good sign should they need him going forward.
No doubt. Great stuff, John. I'll see you at Target Center. Thanks to everyone who listens. We really appreciate it. If you can, support our sponsors. And if you can, subscribe to this podcast and go to talknorth.com and find other podcasts on sports and the outdoors that you will like. We do appreciate it. Enjoy the games.